Pretoria, as we continue here on SABC News to bring you live coverage of the results as they continue to trickle in. We'll be crossing to all our reporters in our different provinces to give us the latest updates from there. I'm also not alone in studio here. I'm with Paul Bokowitz, who is a political analyst. We'll be looking at the numbers, where they stand currently and what all of that means. Diabo Sito will also join us from the floor here behind me in just a couple of moments. She'll be talking to an economist, Davi Root, and basically, we'll be looking at how the markets are also responding to the results as they're coming in at this time. Paul, I think let me start with you now. Everyone wants to know what it's looking like at this stage. And I think of particular interest from me as I've been looking at the numbers is what seems to be the Freedom Front Plus taking votes from the Democratic Alliance. We're looking at, from where we stand currently, anything between 100,000 to 200,000 votes.
That's correct, Griselda. If we look back historically, the last four elections, going back to 1999, the Freedom Front Plus never polled above 1% of the vote. But 94, our first democratic election, they had over 3%. Now it looks like they're headed for just under 3%. So effectively potentially tripling the percentage of the national vote they're getting. And to put it in numbers, as you started with, the Freedom Front Plus has got anywhere between 150 and 180,000 votes in the last few elections. It looks like they're on track to get 300,000, even more.
So what could this possibly be due to? I know that there are some issues, the internal battles within the Democratic Alliance, how that has been viewed by the electorate. We look at the issues of BEE. Could that be possibly some of the things that have influenced what we're seeing currently?
I think you've put your finger on it there, Griselda. That is probably the biggest push factor from voters away from the DA towards the Freedom Front Plus. The DA's internal struggles, the factionalism that's developed as the party's gotten bigger, that might have dissuaded new voters from joining the DA. But what's taken existing voters from the DA and pushed them towards the Freedom Front Plus is probably policy changes on BEE, on affirmative action, and the party's most conservative and maybe most fluid voters, the ones who sometimes vote Freedom Front Plus provincially, sometimes vote Freedom Front Plus in by-elections, have now voted with their feet. We saw this, but we didn't predict it to the degree that we're seeing it now, the numbers that we're seeing it now.
Could this spell danger? I don't want to be too alarmist here, but could this spell danger for the DA leader, Mmusi Maimane? Look, we've seen the reports in the run-up to this election, reports of those wanting Mmusi Maimane out. This, in effect, is the first time that we're seeing the Democratic Alliance do this kind of backslide, isn't it? Could Mmusi Maimane still have his job after we look at the final tally, of course?
Difficult to predict, and I'd like to hedge my bets, but I think if you ask me to bet at this point, I'd say that Mmusi Maimane's days are numbered. If the DA does backslide, as you said, if they get a smaller percentage of the vote than they did in the previous election in 2014, this would be a precedent. They've grown in every election since 1994. And going by the numbers, as you've been saying, it looks like the DA's lost more to the Freedom Front Plus than they would have gained from other parties or from new voters.
He would obviously be under tremendous pressure at this point. So, the DA, for example, if we look at the inroads that I guess it had wanted to make amongst the black voters, that doesn't seem to have happened from where we're sitting at this particular point.
No, as we said, it's preliminary. There's still 2/3 of the vote to come in. But based on the early predictions from the CSIR's model and the votes that we do have from the voting districts in traditional townships and areas where the DA wanted to grow, they haven't done well. It's been pretty lackluster.
All right, I'll come back to you on that. We'll continue our discussion with Paul Bokowitz as we look at the numbers as they keep coming in. Let's go to Ayanda Mhlongo now, who is in KwaZulu-Natal. Ayanda, what is the latest there now?
Yeah, good morning to you, Griselda. Well, let me tell you, it's still too early to